Okay, everyone. Welcome to our Medicine Buddha practice. Welcome to those who are new. I'm Lama Rod, and I'm having a Fig Newton. Actually, it's not a Fig Newton. Yeah, it's a Fig Newton, but it's a healthy Fig Newton. Um, but welcome everyone. I'm not in London yet. I will be there on Friday. Sister Sadada, who some of you know has already left. She's already there. And I am following behind her. Um, so yeah, have to excuse me. I'm a little tired today. I'm just getting back from a family weekend. Um, so I'm a little tired. My eyes are really tired. So I've been in the car all day, and the sun was really bright. Um, but I am okay. I'm just tired, and I have my tea concoction, which is chamomile, lemon balm, some honey. So I'm good. All right. So if you are new, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. If there are prayer requests, let's go ahead and start putting those up as well, because I say this every week, but I actually really do want to get a long practice in. And then I started talking, and then an hour and a half later, I realized it's almost over. I have um, some blue lotus oil from Egypt that a good friend of mine gave me a little bit of, and it's a sacred oil. So it's a sacred plant, and it really. I mean, there are different kinds of lotus benefits. I think it's very much associated with the third eye. So I like to do this now before I do a little bit of teaching. Let's put this on. And it really kind of starts awakening. And this is kind of the theme of the practices that we're moving into, and I mentioned this last week, but we're going to start really moving to spring practice. So what does spring mean? Well, I also forgot to mention that in the Christian calendar, we're also in the observance of Lent. So, and traditionally you kind of give up something, you renounce something for Lent. And I think someone asked me, they're like, Rod, what are you doing for Lent? I was like, I've renounced enough in life. This is a period where I need to like actually add things to what I'm doing. So there's a lot happening. Of course, this is Easter, but the energy of spring, or as we move into spring, is about awakening. It's movement, it's fluidity, it's space, it's remembering space. I want to communicate that, or kind of translate that into our practice with Medicine Buddha. Some of you know, and we did this a while ago, but I tend not to do this particular meditation that we're going to do tonight, this particular practice, which is the chakra awakening, visualizing lotuses in the chakra blooming. And we did the lotus in the heart center a couple of weeks ago. So that's going to be very similar. So I'm going to do a little bit of that using the breath, and of course offering alternative practices besides the breath. But the idea here, right, is to awaken, blooming, blossoming, right? And this kind of visualization with breath, with the energy of Medicine Buddha really begins to help shift our bodies into getting ready for spring, getting ready for this awakening. But the risk here is that we're awakening to a lot of, I would say, heavy energy in the space around us. So we talk about space, but space is about holding everything, including, everything that we're moving through, right? This is a lot, continued war, and pandemic, and in our lives, our personal lives, right? So we're opening up to all of this energy, but what we're trying to do is allow space to hold everything, right? Just to allow everything to be there. And just, I wonder, as we begin, so please, continue to put prayer requests in, but I know this is going to be confusing. I want you to put prayer requests in, but I don't want you to get distracted because I want to kind of start something here. So this is where let's begin. I like to do this, I like to do things like this, but I want us to, again, contemplate space, okay? Just to begin, this is like a warm up, like this is like the appetizer, right? So when I talk about opening up to space, that space holds everything. We've talked about how, like, the feminine principle in tantric traditions is the personification of space, like Tara, right? Kali, and so forth. So space, and we've been talking about space and emptiness too. But just to begin, this isn't a right or wrong thing. I know this is difficult. This is very abstract reflection, but just like, what is space for you? What does space mean for you? What does space feel like? And let's begin there. What does space feel like? What is your experience of space? Right, and as you connect to this, I want to invite you to actually invite space to be present. Now, I want you to actually say, space, please be present. Space, I invite you, right? Talk to space. Talk to space, like you would your most beloved, right? And this is another habit that I want us to get into. I want us to really talk to these expressions of the phenomenal world, right? Because to talk to space is to talk to the mother. If we want to put it in those terms. To talk to space is to begin to talk to the mother. All right, so what is space? What's your experience of space? How does space feel? And begin to invite space to be present. And it's okay if you're not having, like, if this is hard, this is confusing, if you don't get anywhere, or if this feels confusing. I mean, that's all a part of this, right? So it's okay, right? I think the best way for those who maybe struggle with practices like this is to first just ask ourselves, okay, what is space? What does space feel like? And imagine just like offering this question into your mind, to the depth of your mind, and just really just noticing, becoming aware of the feedback you get when you just put the question out there, let it go, and just notice what arises. What is space? What is space? What does space feel like? Invite space to be present, to awaken in you and around you. Just a few more moments here. And if you're new, if you're just getting into the room, we're starting with just a short contemplation about space. So, what is space? What does space feel like? Just reflecting on it, feeling into that. And then, lastly, I want you to invite space to be present with you, around you, within you. And to go even further, I wonder if you can allow yourself to be held by space. So don't overthink this either. Like just don't get wrapped up in thinking about this, but just I wonder if you can trust a kind of natural arising around what we're trying to do. Like when I ask you to allow yourself to be held by space, just like don't think about it, just do it. Just do it and see what happens. Don't think about, don't, no doubts, no doubts. Part of what we're trying to do here is develop faith, right? That if we lean into, space, space will catch us in the same way that the earth is always catching us, is always holding us. Space is always catching us, space is always holding us. So when I ask you, okay, allow yourself to be held by space, just do it. Don't think about it, just do it. Don't think about how to do it. Don't think about how confusing this is. Just do it. Cut through that. Just land in the space. So a few more moments here. this reality of space is it's the thing, the one material from which everything arises. You know, all phenomena, but also all deities, everything that's sacred arises from this space. And to learn how to connect directly to space and to ask it to hold you will be a really powerful experience, right? And this is why in tantric traditions, these aspects of the phenomenal world have been um, personified into deities because it makes it easier. It becomes an easier step for us to begin to relate to a deity and how that deity like invites us into the quality of the phenomenal reality that is personified or that the system of practice has created, you know, around it. Right. And of course, within these traditional practices connecting to space, we talk about the illusion of phenomena, right? So everything is an illusion. That illusion is an expression of space itself. So in a way, like we train in developing, I would say, a hypersensitivity to the experience of spaciousness. And that becomes like the foundation for our practice. So if you're working with the breath tonight, I want to just next move into just an opening pranayama practice, breath practice. So this is the or the central channel breath. Right? So we're inhaling up the spine, beginning at the base of the spine, to the very top of the head, and then we exhale down the spine, back to the tailbone or the sitting bone. Right. And so on the next exhale, as we come back down the spine, back to the tailbone, I just want you to just leave your attention. So letting go of the breath and letting your attention just kind of plant itself at the base of the spine. And in doing so, we bring the breath lower, right into the body, down into the body. And just breathing naturally, normally, as you would. But just holding the attention at the base of the spine for right now. And so when you're ready, I invite you to just open that attention up a little bit to begin to notice the weight of your body making contact with the seat. Noticing that sensation, right, of your body and the seat meeting. Noticing the gravity, right, of the experience, the weightiness, the density. So we're going to shift our attention even lower now and beginning to touch the earth in the way that we practice. So our attention, the energy of our attention, and then our attention and our awareness are just energies, that are conscious. So this energy of attention begins to touch the energy of the earth, of the land under us. And they can be something as simple as just saying, I am noticing the earth under me, and that can be it. Or you may have an actual felt experience of actually touching the earth through your attention. But either whatever arises, is fine and it's enough. But we just want to connect to the earth, linking to the earth, remembering that the earth is holding us. So feeling yourself being held by the seat, feel yourself and everything being held by the earth. And I wonder if there's anything that you're struggling to hold for yourself. I wonder if you can offer some of that experience down into the earth. So again, sometimes we have doubts, hesitations that arise when we do practices offering to the earth like this, but what we can understand is that the energy of what we struggle with is the essence of what we struggle with is the same essence of the earth. It's the same essence of everything, right? So we may struggle with maybe right now sadness, right? But when we offer to the earth in this way, we're not offering sadness to the earth, we're just offering energy. And the energy that we're offering is meeting the like massive energy of the earth. And that energy is just being absorbed by the earth and neutralized and incorporated. You know? So we're not hurting the earth. Our energy is like adding just a drop of water to the ocean, right? This is where many of you also struggle with too, is just like the basic practice of letting go. Mhm. Whatever I struggle to hold for myself, or when I struggle to hold for others, I offer to the earth. And I wonder if you can, again, just allow yourself to be cared for by the earth. Can we just let the earth take care of us right now? Can we let the seat take care of us? And if we're able to be with the breath, can we let the breath take care of us? Can we let space take care of us? Can we let go of the resistance and the aversion, pushing away and the down? Can we just allow ourselves to be held? Because everything is trying to hold us. But we get in the way of that holding, that care. And so if you're able to be with the breath, I invite you to go back to the central channel breath, or the Uma breath, is breathing up the spine and exhaling down the spine back to the tailbone. Doing that breath and connecting to as much of what I asked you to connect to: space, the seat, the earth, the breath, whatever, right? Allowing everything in this moment to collaborate and taking care of you. So we're going to go a little bit further now and get into our earth breathing. So we're going to do it just a little differently in this session that we've been doing in the past sessions. So again, we're going to, in the earth breath, imagine breathing up from the earth into the base of the spine, holding the breath at the base of the spine for a couple seconds, and then imagine just exhaling that energy and breath just up the spine to the top of the head. So we're imagining that we're slowly beginning to fill up the central channel that runs parallel with the spine, right? The central channel of energy movement and flow in the body, right? So again, like inhaling from the earth into the base of the spine, holding the breath there in the base of the spine. And as we exhale, exhaling that up through the central channel to the top of the head. And just doing that repeatedly. So we're just conditioning, in a way, the central channel, awakening the central channel even more, and getting some of this earth energy infused with the energy in the central channel, which, which is very similar already. We're working primarily with prana, but we are beginning to awaken maybe a little bit of Shakti. So all that gets mixed up, right, in this practice. So again, if you're not using the breath, just imagining uh, energy from the earth, like moving into the base of the spine, and then just it's floating up into the central channel to the top of the head, and just continually do that visualization. Okay, but if you're working with the breath again, breathing in, holding, releasing up the spine. All right. And just do one or two of those practices, or you can alternate the two practices I just gave you. If you ever begin to feel lightheaded or dizzy, just coming back to a normal, natural breath, right? Maybe doing a little bit of movement, getting some water. That's going to help you settle. And also bringing attention back to the weight of the body, and the earth and the seat also ground you as well. Okay? But let's just continue with the visualization and the breath. So a few more moments here. I just want us to get really into this. A couple more seconds. All right. So we're gonna get a little more complex with this visualization. So again, just a reminder that you don't have to see things clearly or experience things clearly. That's not what we're going for. These are just suggestions and kind of directions that help us get into um, connecting, to different parts of our experience. In this experience, we're connecting to chakras. So we're really focusing on like these, like very basic seven chakras that are often studied. Starting with the roots chakra at the base of the spine, is what we've been working with. The second chakra within the pelvis area, the third chakra at the navel area, the fourth chakra being the heart center, which we often work with. The fifth chakra being the throat chakra, the sixth chakra being the third eye, and seventh chakra being the crown of the head. Right. So that's the general locations of the chakras in the body. And so we're going to imagine that in each of these chakras, there will be a lotus. For those of you who remember this practice that we used to do, so each chakra is represented by a different color traditionally. And so the lotus will be the color of the chakra. And the lotus will start out as a closed lotus. So it's like a lotus bud. So the root chakra is red. The second chakra is orange. The third chakra is yellow. The heart chakra is green. Throat chakra blue. The third eye chakra indigo, and the top of the head, the crown chakra, is violet. Okay, but of course I'll give you these cues as we move through the practice. So we're gonna go back into the earth breath, right? And again, imagining breathing in to the root chakra, again, holding the breath. And in the root chakra, there's going to be a closed red lotus. So as we hold the breath and prana in the root chakra, we just imagine that lotus blossoms. So a red lotus begins to blossom in the root chakra. Then we exhale that, release the breath, exhale it up to the second chakra with the closed orange lotus, holding the breath there, imagining that orange lotus opening, and so forth and so on, till we go to the top um, of the head, the crown chakra. And then we'll get into the next stage of the visualization once we get to the top. Okay? And again, if you're not working with the breath, no problem. Just imagine this energy floating up, opening chakras and so forth, right? And again, you don't have to visualize. Just having a sense or a confidence that this kind of opening is happening. within the chakras is enough. Okay? All right, so shifting our attention. Sometimes my practice, when I'm doing practices like this, I just imagine my body being like a balloon, like an inflated balloon. So I feel very spacious inside, very light, very airy. I can imagine the seven chakras running along the central channel with the colored closed blossom, lotus blossoms in each chakra. So if you're able to work with that visualization, if you're able to connect to that, let's connect to it just for a few seconds. Just get a sense of that. Where this hollow body that's filled with energy and light. Chakra centers with these closed lotuses, the color of the chakra. All right, there's a couple more moments here. And the thing with visualizations over time is that if we're really connecting to a visualization, like if we're able just to get some like mental image of the visualization, over time we're just allowing ourselves to actually relax into that visualization. Just relax. And over time, the visualization just is. Like it just becomes. Right? That's an important part of the Vajrayana system here, where we're learning how to have agency over what the mind creates, right? So we may allow this visualization to happen, but at the end, we're going to shut it down, right? We're going to complete it. And that intensifies, it trains us in developing agency over what we create, and how to like bring that creation to an end. You know? All right, so moving our attention back to the base of the spine, beginning with the root chakra, red in color, with a closed red lotus blossom, okay, or bud, closed lotus bud. So again, inhaling into that chakra, imagining that the energy of the breath and the prana we just pulled in begins to awaken that red lotus and begins to blossom in the root chakra. Once we see it blossoming, releasing that breath up into the second chakra, into the pelvis area, where there is a closed orange lotus blossom or lotus bud, right? So again, we're going to breathe in directly into the second chakra now, holding the breath, allowing that orange lotus bud to blossom, and then exhaling that breath up to third chakra, what we would call solar plexus, right? Coming back to normal breath, natural breath. When we're ready, breathing into the third chakra there with that closed yellow lotus bud, feeling the intensity of the breath beginning to awaken that yellow lotus blossom. And as you see it blossoming, maybe even feel it blossoming in the third chakra there. Once it blossoms, exhaling that breath up to the heart chakra. Coming back to a normal breath. Inside the heart chakra is a green lotus bud. We begin again by inhaling deeply into the heart center, holding the breath, feeling the intensity of the breath beginning to awaken that green lotus blossom. See it blossoming in the heart center like this. When we're ready, exhaling the energy up to the throat chakra, where there is a blue lotus bud. Okay. And so again, breathing into the throat chakra, holding, imagining that blue lotus blossoming. When you're ready, exhaling that energy up to the third eye, or the sixth chakra, where there is an indigo colored lotus blossom, or lotus bud. So again, breathing into the third eye, imagining the breath waking up, that indigo colored blossom. See it just blossoming right in the third eye. Right, and when you're ready, exhaling that energy up to the crown or the top of the head, where there is a violet colored lotus um, bud. So again, breathing into the top of the head, that breath begins to awaken that violet lotus, and see it blossoming right in the crown of the chakra, or the crown chakra. And just exhaling that breath up, right, out of the head, out the top of the head, right? So just taking a few moments to connect. Notice like any change, maybe in the energetic body that you're able to notice right now. It's kind of awakening. So what we've been doing is activating the chakras to start processing more energy, to start working more efficiently, and that may have an impact on our physical body, definitely our energetic body, and also our mental states and mind, right? So again, returning back to that central channel breath, just breathing up the spine, and exhaling down the spine. Couple more breaths. So we're going to take this further now. And I invite you to imagine that around the top of your head, like circling the top of your head like a cloud or a mist, above you, I want you to imagine gathering benefactors within your homecoming circle. So all your homecoming circle are just different parts of your homecoming circle. For those of you who are new to this, just we're beginning to imagine the beings who love us and the things that inspire us. Like we're beginning to imagine that they appear above our heads. So teachers and guides and mentors, um, like teachings that have inspired us, communities that we're a part of, our ancestors, our benevolent ancestors, our lineages, so forth. Right? Just imagine these beings, these like like things gathering above us, above our heads. Like a cloud. It begins to feel like a cloud, right? And I wonder if you can actually feel beings who love you and things that inspire you actually gathering above your head. Let's take a couple more moments to really like call in your benefactors. So, having a sense that there's a cloud of benefactors above our heads, we'd imagine that they begin to radiate glow with the energy of their care and love and support for us. And as we're imagining that, we're going to move into the first mantra, Om Mani Padme Kino Soha. And then as we chant this mantra a few times, which simply means, Medicine Buddha, please think of me, please know me, please heal me, whatever interpretation that you need it to be right now, just do that. So Om Mani Padme Kino Soha. And as we chant that, the cloud of benefactors above our heads begins to transform into our representation of Medicine Buddha, the personification of Medicine Buddha that feels appropriate for us right now. It can be the actual image, the traditional image of Medicine Buddha, which I have somewhere that, as usual, I can't get to it. um, it could be, as we've done in the past, the personification of the archetypal healer for us, right? Like when we think about the all powerful healer in our lives, who or what do we think about? Right? It could be another teacher, it could be another deity. Um, Again, it could be Medicine Buddha. Um, it can be anything. And this is again, just asking yourself, who is the healer for me? And just letting that image of the healer above your head arise. But our benefactors began to glow and merge, and create or form this image of our healer above our heads. And so we'll begin our chanting Om Mani Padme Hino Soha. Om Mani Padme Hino Soha. Om Mani Padme Hino Soha. Om La Sange Kino So. Ah. 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 Om La again, you don't have to see or perfectly visualize who this healer is above your head. Just having a sense that there is an energy of healing and restoration above your head is enough. You don't have to have a picture of a visualization. Just saying, okay, there is the energy of healing above my head is enough. Taking another moment to allow whatever to form, if we're still, kind of waiting for that. So when you have an idea or a feeling of the healer above your head, I invite you to go a little further and imagine that this healer loves you so much, cares for you so much, and that in their deep caring for you, they develop this intense aspiration for you to experience the deepest healing and liberation. And that intense aspiration actually causes them to begin to radiate this really the soft, warm white light. And slowly, it's like that white light becomes super dense and heavy, and it begins to fall through their bodies, floating down into the top of our heads. In my practice, I imagine it being like the incense burner. So you put a piece of incense in something, you can see the incense moving down some type of structure in the incense holder. So it's like the density of that light is like pouring slowly into the top of the head. So it pours into the top of the head and saturates, or even it feels like it's watering that open lotus, the violet open lotus. And you feel that energy of healing and light, kind of saturate that lotus, then begins to float down to the lotus in the third eye, the indigo lotus, and it saturates that lotus and goes down to the blue lotus and the throat chakra, and then down to the green lotus and the heart chakra, then into the yellow lotus and the third chakra, then the orange lotus in the second chakra, and the red lotus in the root chakra. Just so this energy is just like pouring down through these open lotuses, really super awakening these lotuses. It's like they're outside during a spring rain. The rain just really nourishes them and really activates them even more. Right, and once that energy gets down to the third chakra, that energy begins to fill the whole body up now. So that energy from the healer above our heads, that energy that's sinking through their bodies into our bodies now begins to fill our whole bodies up. And that will begin the practice of the first part of our mantra, of the main mantra. Tia Tawum Baconse, Maha Baconse, Rasa Sumongate So, which is a prayer to medicine Buddha. And we can chant this, you can chant this along with me or just sit. But as we're just in this first part of the mantra practice, just allowing ourselves to be filled with this energy of healing, with these awakened chakras and lotuses, and just connecting to the healer above our heads. Okay? 오체야 자옴베근세 베근세 마베근세 라스수몽가티수아 제야 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 자옴베근세 Lazuma Teata Umbeyanze Beyanze Mabeyanze 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 Lazuma Teata Umbeyanze Yenze Mabeyanze Lazuma Teata Umbeyanze Beyanze Mabeyanze Lazuma Teata Umbeyanze Yenze Mabeyanze Lazuma Teata Umbeyanze Beyanze Mabeyanze Lazuma. We're going to move into a second part of our mantra, and then after this second part, we'll offer the prayer requests. So in this next part of the mantra, I want you to imagine, I invite you to imagine that as this energy, this light is filling your body from your benefactor, that this energy begins to cleanse. If you're not already doing this, imagining that this energy begins to cleanse whatever you feel like you're struggling with, particularly the roots of what you're struggling with. And I also want you to imagine that this energy that's being cleansed, or any toxic energy, is being expelled from the body as you slowly begin to radiate with this energy of healing and love from your healing benefactor above your head. Okay. So we'll begin again. Teata Umbeyanze Beyanze Mabeyanze Lazuma 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 Teata Umbeyanze Begenze, Mahabegenze, Lazumagasuva, Theata, Begenze, 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 Begenze, ma begenze, lazumagasuva. 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 And we'll transition into our third part of the mantra practice. And first, I'll offer our prayer requests tonight. And after we offer our prayer requests, we're going to imagine that we're going to start radiating the light of this healing energy into the situations of those we've offered prayers for. So if there are any last prayer requests you want to offer, please go ahead and do that. I have some prayer requests too that I'm trying to pull up on my phone as well. Okay. All right. So as always, we want to start our prayer requests by calling in and calling in and asking all deities, Dharma protectors, benevolent spirits, ancestors, teachers, guides, gurus, inviting all these beings into the space to offer these prayer requests to, and we ask them on our behalf to support and help and assist all of those, all the people that we're offering, that they support them on our behalf. And as we do our work as well through practice to support these prayer requests. And we're offering prayers for Karen, Marie Sullivan, offering prayers for rest, love, and freedom, offering prayers for my BFF who is overwhelmed, for my family who's traveling, for my sister who's about to welcome a new baby, offering prayers for Cameron's healing, offering prayers for Kidlet D. Gia, who passed away, and for his family. Offering prayers for courage and wisdom as I enter this transition to the last stage of life. With wisdom for decisions aligned with the highest self. Absolutely. For Carrie Cleaver and her sinus surgery this week, and for my knee. Offering prayers for liberation for all, offering prayers for Shia Eisenberg, for Eve Issen, for Chave Bailey, for Khalid and Alexa, for Patricia and Dalish, and for many people I know who have moved into the Bardo these last few weeks, for anyone in any proximity by space or heart to the war in the Ukraine, for the earth and all her inhabitants, for the grief we're all holding and trying to hold. And offering prayers for Laura, who has so much turmoil and health worries among her family members. Offering prayers, may I have the wisdom to know what to let go of so I can get what I need to do the work. We're offering prayers for my friend who will be coming back from a stay in a psych unit tomorrow. Offering prayers for those in imminent danger, prayers for clarity for all, and so much endless delusion. Offering prayers for those experiencing doubt and fear. Offering prayers for Dell, who will be having knee surgery tomorrow. Offering prayers for Vashan, who had a stroke this week and went home today, and a family of Faye, who made her transition last night. Offering prayers for my dog bite that it heals with no complications. Offering prayers for prayers for all of you and me with the clarity and courage to show up, for the space to open to the grief and doubt in space. Offering prayer requests for Paul Duffley, my dad who transitioned recently, for Nan Duffley, my mom, who is also grieving. Offering prayers for my partner Sarah following their car accident on Thursday. May they recover and heal from this traumatic event. Offering prayers for Tati as she just left the ER experiencing intense migraines. And offering prayers for my siblings, along with my dad's transition. And we're all for prayers for Snap, that she experiences deep healing as soon as possible, and for the support of Josh and Abner. Continue to pray for all beings right now impacted by war and famine and disease, and everything restricting them from having the resources, gathering the resources that they need to be healthy, safe, and well. And I continue to pray for all beings who are transitioning into the Bardo or the spirit realm, that they are guided and supported and held as they transition into this next expression of their being. I pray for all of us who experience harm from systems of power and abuse and violence, that these systems are disrupted and eradicated, and that we all have the space, that we all remember and embrace the space that is ours, the same space that is always present, that we embrace it and allow it to free us from suffering. I pray for all of us to experience the deepest well-being, happiness, and joy, and ultimately I pray for all of us to be free as quickly as possible. So as we move into the last stage of our mantra, just imagining this energy radiating into the lives and into the needs of all those we've offered prayers for. 오제야 자옴배근세 배근세 마배근세 라그순가 지수아 제야 자옴배근세 배근세 마배근세 라그순가 지수아 제야 자옴배근세 배근세 마배근세 라그순가 지수아 대하자 배근세 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 배근세 Begenze, Begenze, Mahabegenze, Radhasumanyati Deata Begenze, Begenze, Mahabegenze, Radhasumanyati Deata Begenze, Begenze, Mahabegenze, Radhasumanyati Beata Begenze, Begenze, Mahabegenze, Radhasumanyati Beata Begenze, Begenze, Mahabegenze, Radhasumanyati Soha. So making just a final offering of light, healing energy into the world. And just imagine that like this huge burst of healing energy explodes from our bodies, moving through the whole world like a wave of healing energy, just healing everything and everyone, bringing every being back into balance, opening paths of light for those who are transitioning into the next realm. When you're ready, shifting your attention back to the weight of the body making contact with the seat. Slowly letting go of all these visualizations, allowing our phenomenal body, our physical body to come back into the present moment, allowing the seat to take care of us, grounding our attention, pulling us back into this timeline. And when you're ready, just allow yourself to come back into the space, maybe awakening the body again through some simple movements, maybe some stretches, maybe a few deep cleansing breaths as we go into offering our closing prayer from Shantideva's The Bodhisattva's Way of Life. We're going to recite this 3 times. Okay? May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the mountain's creatures, and until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realm of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And lastly, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as Earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Okay. All right, thank you all so much for your practice. Um, Please join us on Wednesday nights. Um, this Wednesday night, we for our Boom Sponsor Community Gathering, we're going to be doing just a big kind of town hall, just kind of updating everyone on what's happening. Justin and I will be there, be facilitated um, um, by Miss Aisha, who's one of our practice leaders, and it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's on the Google Scholarship schedule. So please come out and support that. I think it'll be really informative for those of you who are getting interested or curious about Google Scholarship. And yes, and so I will be heading to the UK. So maybe I don't know if anyone from the UK is actually on this late. In the UK, it's 12:30 right now in the UK. So, um, but we will be. If you just as you follow me on social media, particularly Instagram, we'll be posting teachings and videos quite frequently as we begin. Um, and I'm still not sure about the circumstances of Wi-Fi in some of the places that I'll be in, but just stay tuned. Next week, I may just do a video, just a special video practice for just to have because next Monday I will be teaching late there in London, so which you know may not work out. But after that, it should be a little more stable. But you'll know if you best thing to do is to sign up for Boom's Barsha email lists just to get those notifications. I'll send those out as soon as I know what the situation is. So anyway, um, and I think that's it for our schedule. So thank you all so much. And just one thing I'll just say before we close up. This isn't going to be a long thing, but just basically saying that like everything that we're doing right now in terms of our practice is helping. Like it may not seem like it. It may seem like everything's overwhelming, but every everything that we're doing, the prayers, the chanting, the opening, the choosing the space is helping us move through um, this really heavy time. So really, really work on these practices, come back to these videos, and just make it a part of your daily practice to do some part of what the work that we're doing. Is so helpful, extremely helpful. Okay. And I will see you soon. Okay, I hope to see you on Wednesday. All right, thank you, everyone.